Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture, the second Monday of 2024. Last week on Alpha Flight Monday, we looked at the first issue, the first dynamic double size issue of Alpha Flight, in which we meet the characters. We find out about Department H being closed by the Canadian government. We have a fight with a giant monster that I'm sure we'll never see again in these pages. And we see the group decide to form their own Alpha Flight independent of the Canadian government. A pretty good introductory issue. So now we're to week 2. And we're going to find out about the mystery of Marrina. Now, I think with issue 2 is where we start getting into Alpha Flight proper, because now we're going to be dealing with some story arcs and that kind of thing. And so we could see from the cover, and by the way, these are the kind of covers that I love for comic books, where we have some word bubbles and all that kind of stuff that gives you a hint of what might be inside. We have Puck, be careful, something's happening to her. Take it easy, boss. Marrina wouldn't hurt me. Oh, wouldn't she? And you can see this is not the best copy in the world. It's a little bit rough, but it's good enough for me. We're good enough. Stan Lee presents Canada's own Alpha Flight, Shadows of the Past. 20 miles south and west of Fort Albany, Ontario, lies a vast undeveloped area you will not find on any map. It is the ultra top secret Albany River Proving Grounds, where most of Canada's secret military weaponry is tested. But it is not a military weapon which now streaks across the mid-morning sky. It is a man. I wonder if that's where they tested their little flying saucer thing they did back. I should try to find a picture of that and add it in here somehow. Anyways, story and art by John Byrne. Letterer, Tom Orzechowski. Colorist, Andy Yankus. Denny O'Neill is our editor. Jim Shooter is our editor-in-chief. This is from September of 1983. Okay. A man whose present role is ill-suited to his natural temperament. He is a scientist, a researcher, and disinclined to the heroic mold into which fate has cast him. His name is James MacDonald Hudson, but to the world at large he is better known as Vindicator. What the blazes? And so what we're doing is a little bit of training here for Alpha Flight, as North Star and Aurora both go after Vindicator there. He falls. He's caught by Sasquatch, who throws him. Shaman says, Sasquatch, no, his force field is down. Too late. He did not hear me. And there he goes, and he uses his arcane powders from the pouch at his belt, and they grow this bracken into a larger sort of a shrub that can catch him. And then Sasquatch gets attacked, so to speak, by Marrina or Marrina. I still haven't decided how to pronounce that. Come on. And we get a Star Frontiers ad. That's a pretty good game. And so he gets absolutely drenched. So he's not real thrilled about that. Puck is laughing. He goes after Puck. Looks like they're almost developing a sort of Thing and Human Torch relationship there. And so Vindicator gets everybody back together. He says, I'm just sorry Anne was tied up with her RCMP duties. I'd like to see Snowbird get more involved in these free-for-alls. She needs to loosen up. Perhaps, old friend, but then she is not human. And you are, and you too could use some cheer. It's not that easy, Michael. Not at all. I never wanted to be group leader. I don't think I have what it takes to be a superhero. In fact, on my very first venture, I nearly killed a civilian. That was in X-Men number 109. It still weighs heavy on my conscience. It's a lot for me to have to vindicate. And so they continue to talk about, about feelings and that kind of good stuff. You are our own Captain America, James. You represent the nation, and while you may feel you have much to vindicate, Canada does not. You're suggesting my name should be more in keeping with our image, like Guardian. Oh, so here we go. So the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think by this time, was canceled, and so he could go back to the name that Byrne had intended for him of Guardian. Just then, attention, mes amis. As requested, my sister has succeeded in soothing our orange oaf. Watch your mouth, North Star. I may get a sudden craving for frog's legs. Whoa, okay. No, no, mon cher Walter. Enough of this bickering. We are not the Avengers, n'est-ce pas? That's kind of a nice, throwing a little shade at the Avengers. Is everyone ready then? Just a sec, boss. I think something's wrong with Marrina. Oh, Judd, I think so. My head, I feel so strange. Strange? I always thought there was something fishy about this chick. Hope this isn't where we find out what. Take it easy. Take it easy, babe. We're all here to help. Please, don't touch me. Hey, it's okay, Marrina. It's me, your old Uncle Judd. I said don't touch me. And so, Marrina, whoops, let's get that more in there. So Marrina, obviously, has this hideous demeanor all of a sudden, and they're shocked. Some great facial shots there of the team. She did something horrible to Puck, who's choking. Help me! And she runs away. Let's slide that out from there. Wonder if that's getting in the way of the thing focusing properly. So she dives into the ocean, swims away. Now you see that her face is back to normal at this point. North Star and Aurora kind of go after her. He says, no, it's too late. And, they actually, with their speed, part the waters, but not enough that they can actually find her. Meanwhile, Vindicator Guardian takes interest in Puck. He says, how's he doing? And Shaman, who's a medical doctor. Not good, James. My magics have reduced his pain and more or less stabilized his condition. But Marrina nearly disemboweled him. He's lost a lot of blood and internal tissue. In a case like this, he needs Dr. Michael Two Youngman more than he needs Shaman. They move quickly then. Within minutes, their diminutive partner is carried on board, and a unique craft is hurtling across the silent land, bound for Fort Albany. So they get him to the hospital, and he is going to survive. So in the meantime, the rest of them have to get going because they need to try to figure out what's happened to Marrina. 1,000 miles to the north and west, at an isolated RCMP post in the district of Mackenzie, Northwest Territory. He hates me. Corporal Ann McKenzie, records officer, is not having a good day. He hates me, and he is determined to frustrate me. And Jim Hudson says I can do nothing about it. He fears I might use my powers against Chief Inspector Hamilton. And, yes, there are times when... What's that? Shaman, he has invoked the name of the Great Spirit. Some menace must threaten Alpha Flight, and I must go quickly to their aid, not as the mortal Ann McKenzie, but as Snowbird. Mackenzie, do you have those files for me yet? Gone again. Only the whisper of the wind marks the passing of she who is a child of the gods. Well, you know the deal, Chief Inspector. Your predecessor arranged for her to have open hours. I know, Thompson, but Chief Inspector Cranmer is dead. I'm in charge here now. And I want Mackenzie brought up on charges. I'll have her secret, whatever it is. That kind of reminds you of the old, the older style superhero stuff with the secret identity and the boss and the this and that. Yeah, I kind of like that. I like that it survives. And as unguessed developments complicate the life of Snowbird, her more than human senses guide her unerringly towards Alpha Flight's top secret Omni ship, where even now urgent scramble communications are being exchanged. I think they meant scrambled. That's what I said, Cody. Some madness seemed to seize control of her. We're tracking her movements now, and she seems to be vectoring for the magnetic North Pole. At least that's still in Canada. If she goes over the pole, let me know. There could be serious diplomatic repercussions if she invades Soviet waters. Roger. I'll keep you posted. Yeah, folks, we're still in the Cold War. And so now we meet up into the Grand Banks of Newfoundland or Newfoundland. The Mary D was a small fishing trawler and had no business being out that night in one of the worst storms to hit the Atlantic coast in more than a generation, and the captain knew it. So these guys are in some serious trouble, and somebody goes overboard, and in the process, they find a light. And it looks like an egg, a glowing egg, and it boils quickly to the surface once it's sort of released from the seaweed and such. And so it takes Tom Smallwood with it, and they rescue him, and he brings it home, where he lives with his wife and grandson. I don't know what it be. Glad I've not seen its like in all my years at sea. Oh, wait, no, hold on. Let me reread that. I don't know what it be. Glad I've not seen its like in all my years at sea. It's a egg, Gran. Look, there's a chicken. There's a chick in it. It's not a chick, young Dan, but it's something alive, sure. Oh yeah, this is okay. I'm doing a swell job. This is going back to the origin of Marrina. So she's found by this fisherman as an egg. Comic book sale. What do we got here? What are some prices? See if I can actually focus in on any of these with that light off. So X-Men number 29, $4. I bet it's not $4 anymore, huh? See, now if you were smart and you wanted to collect comics, you start collecting back in the 80s when they're all cheap. You start collecting in the 2020s. That's just dumb. And so she cracks open the egg and finds this humanoid baby in it. And they raise her just as a human being. And she grows to being, some humanoid, but obviously she swims extremely well. And so that's the kind of mystery. She is not human. She's an alien. And so now, that's James Hudson, explaining to the team her origins. And so they basically took her into Department H, and he inducted her into Gamma Flight. In fact, she was the first member of Gamma Flight. Within months, she'd risen to Beta. And all this on trust alone, Jim. You couldn't have run the standard psych tests, you couldn't have run the standard psych tests, or you'd have never let her into Alpha. On the contrary, Walt, Marrina was as thoroughly checked out as any of you, and she passed with flying colors. Whatever this is that's got into her, it's something that doesn't show up on standard psychological exams. So 100 miles ahead, Marrina moves easily through waters close to freezing, deadly to a mere human. I am near. I sense it. This is the place that calls me. And so she finds this ice cave, but you can see that there's something mechanical in there, something metal. Ooh, and we're going to get a nice splash page. Let's look at this page first, though. And so she comes up out of the water, and she explores these ice caves and, this mechanical stuff, until finally a voice says, "Do not hesitate, child. There is nothing here that you need fear. You have come home." Home? My home is 3,000 miles from here. Who are you? What have you done to me? Done? I have done nothing, save reveal to you your true nature and purpose. As to who I am, you may call me the Master. And hopefully Doctor Who doesn't find out about that. The words rip through the fabric of her mind like a fist through cobwebs. Marrina feels her memory boiling away to be replaced by a driving, consuming need to destroy. Next issue, more of the mystery of Marrina, more of the enigmatic master, and a surprise guest star, all in The Genesis Effect. Dun, dun, dun. But wait a minute, the comic's not over. And here's where we get some origins of Alpha Flight. So they're going to dip a little more deeply into it. And so here we have James Hudson. And we're going to find out a little bit about him. 10 years ago, the research development section of the Amcan Petroleum Company, Edmonton, Alberta. Jerry, no, you really can't be doing this to me. General, my apologies for this nonsense. I can't understand Hudson's behavior. Please don't apologize, Mr. Jackson. Dr. Hudson is naturally upset over these developments. You're far too kind, General. Dr. Hudson is clearly ignoring the fact that this toy of his would never have been built if I and Amcan had not been prepared to take the financial gamble on his ideas. And now you're going to turn my invention over to the military, the American military? That stinks, Jerry. That's reality, Jim. The majority of our funding is American, and our parent office has made deals with the Army before. Well, they haven't made any deals with me. Not with me. Jim. So he's pretty PO'd that this has been taken away from him. And as the man destined to become Vindicator storms out of his lab and into a nightmare of shattered faith, Dr. Hudson, I'm sorry, I wanted to warn you, but Mr. Jackson wouldn't let me. Oh, yes, it's Miss McNeil, isn't it? You're Jerry's private secretary. I was. I put in my resignation when I found out he was going to do this to you. You quit? Miss McNeil, I'm flattered, but you shouldn't. Please call me Heather, Dr. Hudson, and don't worry about it, really. I just couldn't work for Mr. Jackson knowing he'd betrayed a great man like you. I was wondering if you'd like to come up to my place tonight. I could fix you my famous lasagna and we could talk. Thank you, Heather, but I have other plans. Some other time, perhaps. So what's the first thing we discover? Is that James Hudson is stupid. Because come on. Good-looking lady like her invites you up for lasagna? You take her up, for crying out loud. I mean, we all know Garfield would. So he hits the drawing boards, and he starts working on something new. And so late at night, he basically sneaks in, gets past the security guard who knows him, and then gets into this, armored suit that he's created. Oh, bullpen bulletins. Here we got a nice image. Probably have seen that before of John Byrne and all the various characters he's worked on. And you can get extra money by selling grit. And who doesn't need that these days? And so he basically runs away with that thing, taking the cybernetic helmet but leaving the armor. Let's just see him try to run that suit without it. Next issue, James Hudson is one step closer to becoming Weapon Alpha. Don't miss the birth of Alpha Flight in 30 days. And so Weapon Alpha, if you're a Wolverine fan, you're going to remember that he starts out as Weapon X. And he's from Canada. And, well, actually, if you've read the books, you already know that there's a connection. So we don't need to worry about that. Listen, Power Man's not here right now, so we have a few seconds to talk. The problem is he found out that some of you aren't buying our magazine, and that's making him, mad. When he gets mad, he breaks things and people. So there we go, another Power Man and Iron Fist ad. And prizes in cash. And Burger Time. That is one of my daughter's favorite old video games. And Tutankhamun. So, we've made it through issue 1, where we sort of meet the group. And it's your typical sort of, intro issue. So now we're getting into a story arc. And the story arc is going to be about Marrina and where she comes from and what she is and what's going on with her. And we're also getting sort of little secret origins about Alpha Flight and the characters within it. We met them in number one, but now we're going to learn more about their origins because, again, while some of these characters had appeared in other comics, they weren't necessarily that well known to the wider Marvel audience. And I'll tell you what, it's really kind of fascinating how well Alpha Flight did as a comic book. It had a very long run, given the fact that the characters, for the most part, were unknowns in the Marvel Universe. I think it's a testament to Byrne's writing and then Mantlo after him that they really built a following for this book. When, to be honest with you, they probably shouldn't have been able to do it. It was a good era for comic books overall. But, there were a lot of books that were competing for attention back then. And a bunch of, characters that most people have never heard of really got a hold of folks and stayed alive for a long time. A lot of other comic books failed in those years. And Alpha Flight just kept on going. It was, in some ways, it was Marvel's redheaded stepchild. It just, with Avengers, with X-Men, with Fantastic Four, Alpha Flight kept on trucking. So, hail Alpha Flight. All right, so that's going to do it for our second edition of Alpha Flight Monday. We'll be back next week with Alpha Flight number 3. Not yet out of the bag, but let's take a look. Wow, that is a nice looking cover. Aurora is in trouble. Let's tune in next week and find out just what is going on with our Canadian speedster. So, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. You might want to subscribe. You might want to share with a friend, especially if you or you know somebody who's into Alpha Flight and wants to sort of, take a little trip down memory lane with some of the best books that Marvel produced in the 1980s. In the meantime, God bless everybody. Try to be kind to one another and also try to have some fun. I will see you next week, or actually this week. I should have a couple more videos out this week in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.